Today I'm going to talk about this book. Now, everybody knows Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and most people also know the sequel, Through the Looking Glass. Yeah, so this is Lewis Carroll, not his real name, Charles Luttridge. Lewis Carroll is how we know him, however. So if everybody knows about this book, what's the point in me telling you about it as well? You see, I'm not going to talk about the book itself, or rather, I'm going to talk about the book, not the stories within it. Because as you can see, this is a pretty big volume. And yet, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is rather short. Through the Looking Glass is rather short. So what need then for a book that is 355 pages long? Well, I'll tell you, if you find a book that you really love, you ought to do what I've done here and to get the most academic treatment you can of that book. Now, I did the same with a copy of Candide that I have somewhere, although actually I didn't do it. This was a gift from a friend of mine in Krakow. Beautiful gift because I loved it. I loved Candide, the great book by Voltaire, and she gave me a really academic book full of footnotes, and that's what this is. It is full of notes. The introduction itself takes you through, if you know your Roman numerals, it takes you through to page LXXX, which, if I remember correctly, L, that's 50, right? X is 10, so LXXX should be about page 80, something like that. And yeah, I think that's probably where we are. So yeah, an 80-page introduction, and it looks at where the story came from, about the boat trip that Lewis Carroll took with those little children in, including his Alice, and how the whole story was basically told off the cuff during that boat trip. He remembered it, and then over the next couple of years, he wrote it down, he revised it, he beat it into shape. There were lots of kind of like other directions that he'd gone in, and that's where the footnotes come in as well, because there are lots of things and you think, okay, where's this going, I wonder. And it's yeah, it all comes from this. So yeah, did I say what did I say Lewis Carroll's name was? I think it's Charles Dodgson or something like that, I can't remember. But yes, this is really worth both the financial investment, because it's quite an expensive book to get something as big as this, especially in the Penguin Classics these days, but it's worth it, and it is a big investment in time. Now, I mean, when you read the children's version, the original version of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, you're talking about a day at most. You're talking about an hour or two to read the story from start to finish, right? This took a lot longer than an hour or two. The introduction itself took me about a week to plough through, but it was so fascinating, I was willing to do it, and I wanted to read it slowly. So there you go. That's my review, not of the stories, but of the book itself. Definitely worth getting, and the principle applies elsewhere as well. If there's a book that you really like, that's been around for a while, pick up an extra copy, something that has footnotes, so that you can really get into it. I'd love a book like that to accompany this monster. But such a thing, as far as I know, is yet to be written. Maybe one day. So for now, happy reading.